Hello everybody, this is the first tiny little tutorial about my different work steps or the workflow that I use on different machines, on different operating systems to mill out parts. So today I'm working on my Windows machine. It's actually an iMac running Windows, and I want to show you how to use Estlcam and to create G-code that I later on will put on my LinuxCNC, and this one, the LinuxCNC, is controlling my mill. So I had a task to create a present for a 60th anniversary, and I created this horseshoe with a 60 in it, and this is what I'm going to mill out. So you can see there are a lot of crossing lines, and before we even start to do anything, we have to make sure that we create it in a way that it's really looking nice, and that these lines that are here, that they are later on represented somehow on the milled surface. If we only follow the outline of this and only mill out this, then it will be looking very, very odd. So what I do is, if I do a job like this, I engrave it so that we can see the shape here later on the horseshoe. So I will close this and start Estlcam, and then I will show you what I mean. So first of all, I open the file and I work in millimeters, and there you go, there is the DXF file. The first thing that I do before I do anything else is I choose the correct tool. So it will be this 1mm end mill. And I can close this now, I don't need it anymore. And now I want to start with the engraving. So all these overlapping parts. I want to have the leaves. First of all, I want to have the right hand side leaf and the left hand side leaf. They shall be on top of the other two leaves. So what I have to do, I have to engrave this and this shape, and on the other side the same. Then I have to make sure that I engrave this part of the leaf that's lying on top of the horseshoe, and this one, and this one. And then I want to do it in a way that that leaf is lying on top of the 6, so I also have to engrave this part of the shape. And the 0 shall be on top of the horseshoe, so I have to engrave this, 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 and this curve. So that's the task. I will choose engraving. I will engrave on the center of the path, and I could actually use the automatic shape detection, but it will not work on this because there are so many crossing lines and so on, so it will do something. So I cannot control it. You see it's doing like this or this, so it's somehow detecting the lines. So what I do is I'm going to manual shape detection, and now I start to trace the lines manually. So what I do is I zoom in here. So if you have a wheeled mouse, simply use the mouse wheel. And if you click, not click somewhere, if you have your mouse pointer somewhere and you click the right hand side button of the mouse, you can pan around like this. And if you're on one of the control points like so, then you can click. And now you can start to trace the line. And you see it may do something strange at this point, so be careful. Always make sure that you have the green line in the direction you want to have it. And then the next thing is, don't press the left hand side mouse button. If you do this, left hand side mouse button, I will show you, it will create, or I can show you here as well. You can already see it's creating a green line and a blue line. If I now do a left hand side click, it will create a straight line. So now you see there is the blue line. That's not what I want to achieve. So what I can do now is simply hit the backspace button. It will delete the last control point. And go here again. Now I have the green line, and if I want to have the green line active, then I click the right hand side mouse button. Like so. And now I can follow the line again, right hand side mouse button. And zoom out a bit, go in here. Now you see what's going to happen here. If you're zooming out too much, you may end up somewhere. So I click the right hand side mouse button here in the center, and now I want to follow this line. And you see what's going to happen here. It's not detecting this line, it's just detecting the other side of the line. So the only way to come across this is, or to overcome this, is to hit the enter button. Enter button will end this toolpath that we just created. There it is. And now I zoom in and I start a new toolpath. So I click here, zoom out. Once again, always remember to press the right hand side button of the mouse. Oh, that's interesting. It's not working this way. So I'm hitting escape. We have to start on this side. So once again, engraving tool, center, manual detection, and I start here. And I start a bit outside of the shape. That's not an issue because later on, I zoom out, this will be milled away here. We will not see anything here. So now this direction it works. I follow the path all the way up here. Now I zoom in, up there, and hit the enter key on the keyboard. Now I do the same with the other leaf. We said the left hand side leaf, this one shall be on top. So I will start outside here. Once again, this will be milled away later on. So following the curve, zoom in and enter. And finally we do the same here. Go a bit outside. Right hand side mouse button, zoom in, enter, and now we've got the toolpath for the first engraving here. So now I want to make sure that this part is visible later on the horseshoe as well. So I do exactly the same here. So if I do jobs like this, it never needs to be precise up to the millimeter. So we've got the freedom of, let's say we can cheat a bit at some points. The only thing it has to look nice. That's the only thing that we have to take care of. So now you can see these lines are yellow. So these are the toolpaths that are created. And if I click on one of these toolpaths, it says toolpath depth, ask later. So if you don't give a toolpath depth here, Estlcam will ask you at the end how deep you want to have it. So the whole plywood sheet will be 3 mm thick, but the engraving here, I just want to have it 1 mm deep. So what I do in this case, I usually do it manually. So I select all the toolpaths that I want to engrave 1 mm deep. So I click left hand click here, make sure that you have used the select tool. Then I hold my shift key and I select the remaining. Now it says it found 2. It does not know which path to choose, so it's the other one, this one. And I say okay. No, it did not choose the correct one. So I'm doing it once again. So this one, shift key, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And you don't have to point directly onto the tool path. It just takes the one that is nearest to your mouse pointer. So once I've chosen all of them, I will set the depths to 1 mm. That's good. Yeah. And now we can start to mill out the shape. So there, first of all, we want to make sure that we mill out the holes here. And there are 2 tiny little holes here so that they can later on hang it up on the wall or do whatever they want. So what we are going to do, we could actually use the hole function and create a hole, but it's there is a very much easier function, the drill function. There is the standard drill, but this will only drill with the diameter of the tool. So it will only, if I go to here, you see it's snapping to the circle. If I click on this, it will only drill with the diameter of the hole. So that's not what I want to use, or what I want to have. I want to have the whole diameter, and the diameter is larger than the 1 mm of the tool. So we simply use the helical drill. And now if I click on it, you will see what's going to do. It will create a wonderful circle here. and also here and there. And of course I made sure in the cat and LibreCAD I made sure that these diameters there are a bit larger than the tool. So I've set them to, I think it was 1.5 millimeters, and the tool diameter is 1 millimeter. So now I can start to create the tool passes for the shape. And if you look at the shape, then you will notice, of course, that there is one part here that will be an inside part. And this is the thing that we need to do first. So we choose the hole function. Again, it can do it automatically, but then it will do something. You see, it's either detecting the horseshoe or the 0 with an exclamation mark there. We come to this later. So what we are going to do is we again choose the manual shape detection, zoom in here, and now we simply start somewhere here and get the point here. Zoom out a bit, go down here, right hand side button of the mouse once again, go up here, and then in this direction, and up here. And now you see that we have a slight problem there because I cannot connect them. So what I usually do, as I said, working with plywood, it's not about doing everything very precise, it's make sure that things look nice. So I simply click on this one, and since we've chosen the hole function, it will automatically mill inside of this shape. You can see the shape is outside and the tool pass is on the inside. So later on, the red tool pass is the part that will be milled away. So now we can do the final shape outside, and for this one we choose the part function. Once again, we could do the automatic detection, but then we would destroy everything. So we have to go for, again, the manual function. So how do we do this? We start somewhere here. You can start wherever you like. So we start here. Once again, I'm not finding a proper point here. Just choose the nearest one and click the points here, right hand side of the button, or right hand side mouse button. Oh, oops, backspace once again. Zoom in here, and now again I cannot find the proper matching point, so I'm just cheating a bit and find something where it looks good, where I have a green line, right click, and then find the next point there, and there we go. And we need to cheat here as well, because there is a gap. So what I do, there are now two options. First of all, you can go back to the drawing board, fire up LibreCAD again, and correct this in LibreCAD. Or, as I said, since we are not talking about preciseness here when we do these sort of things, you can also just cheat here as well. This is what I, from time to time, do if I have something like this. So very often if you have something from the internet or somewhere else, then these curves may not be very proper, so then this can happen. So once we've fixed this, we can go there again. So, and there is the final connecting line here, and there is the toolpath. And now you can see how it will look like once we've milled out everything. So the blue lines we've set, I'll switch to select. The blue lines, we told Estlcam that we want to engrave this 1 millimeter deep. And the red lines, Estlcam at the moment does not know how deep it shall be, but it has to be 3.5 1 or 2 millimeters because the plywood sheet is 3 millimeters thick. So we can do this either now if we click on it and do the same like I did before, choose this one, and so on. But there is an easier way to do it. So we simply go to File and go to Save CNC Program. So now we need to choose the proper post-processor. If you only have to do it once. In my case, it's LinuxCNC, and I work on millimeters and millimeters per minute. And I say OK. And now it's asking where I want to save it. I have it on my USB flash drive. And say OK. And now it's asking for the cutting depth. And it says this depth will be used for objects with unspecified toolpath depths, the yellow ones. And so objects with a set depth, the green or blue ones, will not be changed. So all the lines that are now yellow will be milled with the depth that we set here. So I will set this to 3.2 millimeters and say OK. And now we get a preview of how it will look like later on if we put it on the mill. So we see all the different toolpaths. If I use these arrow keys here, I can tilt the whole thing and have a different view angle on it. And now you can see, if we zoom in, you can see the green lines here, or engraving lines. They will not go through the whole material, just 1 millimeter deep. And all the other lines, you can see that will do this with 2 tool passes. So it will go, I have to look it up, open the tool again. It will go down 2 millimeters and then the remaining 1.2 millimeters in the second pass. Yeah, that's it so far. I will now put this on my mill. I will mill it out, and later on I will show you the final result, and we will see each other again then. And here I'm back from my workshop with the final result, and I'm really happy. I think this will make a really good present for this anniversary. And as expected, especially the engraved lines, let the whole thing look a bit more realistic. And that ends this little tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe you learned something about Estlcam. And if you did like the whole thing, then give me a thumbs up or subscribe to this channel. And one day I will be back with another tutorial for either Estlcam or maybe Fusion 360 or LinuxCNC. See you then. Bye.